Hey, Donna fans, it's the AFTERBUZZ TV after show for Ray Donovan, Season 4, Episode 4, Federal Boobie Inspector. Join us as we break down the episode and give you our thoughts and predictions. Let's go.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
So perfect.
It's only appropriate that we open the show with Bob Seger. Of course, a main focus of tonight's episode. Welcome on in, everybody, to the AFTERBUZZ TV after show for Ray Donovan. It is great to have you here. I am your lead host, Frank Maiorana. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frank M. And I'm joined by Memphis's own Olivia Gabaree.
Hello, everybody. You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at _O_G.
We got a fun little panel here tonight to discuss another great episode of Ray Donovan. We had such a fun time having Pooch Hall in last week. I hope all of you guys out there enjoyed listening to it. And we've got some more guests on the way soon. So just a quick shout out to Pooch Hall.
Yeah,
how cool is
I know.
He?
It was so fun last week. And I felt like he and I really connected over our Boston bond, so that was cool.
That was, absolutely. He couldn't believe you're from Memphis. That's how he said it. So
it's funny.
Yeah. So anyway, we had a great episode tonight. I thought we're really getting into this season now. I felt like the first few episodes were more bridging the gap between last season's action and now. How did you feel about tonight's episode? What was your favorite part? What jumps out to you about this episode?
It was so crazy. I feel like it took us on so many different storylines. You know what I mean? Like, so much was going on. There's a whole story with Ray, and now Mickey's back, and a lot's going on with Abby. So I feel like we have a lot to kind of cover and talk about today.
Yeah, absolutely. And my favorite part about this episode was actually the final scene. And now we've had 2 episodes in a row where Abby and Ray have such a touching moment together.
I know. I'm loving it. Like, especially because we saw all the trouble that they've been through throughout the season. So I feel like this season they're really, they're connecting. They're good. Their relationship is strong.
Yeah.
And over, like, unfortunate circumstances, but, sometimes that's the way it is.
Yeah, I think you make a great point because so far in past seasons, Ray has always been very much elusive with what he does.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't really sharing a whole lot with her about the way, he conducts his business, and yet there seems to be this closeness that's happening between them now where he told her last week exactly what the situation was that he was in, and now, this week he comes home at the end of the episode. I know we're jumping to the end at the beginning here, but he walks in, he's a little bit drunk, she's a little bit drunk, and they have that very real chemistry together.
Right.
I really think, and it's exciting to see that they're getting closer despite all the trouble that they've had before.
Yeah, I think that both their characters are really benefiting from their stronger relationship. With Abby's situation with her cancer, like, Ray is really helping her through that. And of course, we see a large change in Ray's character too. And I think that with Abby's help, he's kind of getting through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they are becoming the couple that we always had hoped that they
power
would be,
couple.
right?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Rabbi, we could call them.
Oh, that's a good one.
On
the top of your head?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Impressive.
Thank you very much. I really like that a lot, and I think it adds a new dimension to the show that we haven't seen before.
For sure.
When they've always been so contentious, and Abby has been sent into these really difficult positions emotionally because Ray isn't there for her. She made out with Terry last season, and that really frustrated me to see that happen. And even with this episode, she's out at a bar with a lesbian doctor and ends up making out with her, and I'm just like,
so
what?
Bizarre,
what
right?
You're
like, where'd this come from?
Yeah, that Abby's whole stage 0 breast cancer thing really bothers me because if you're going to make it real, if you're going to make this a true challenge for her, I think it should be further than stage 0 because I looked it up. I mean, stage 0 is sometimes considered a non-cancerous diagnosis.
Really?
Yeah, I looked up on the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, and it says 93% of women live 5 years or longer. You often do not have to have any surgical procedure whatsoever. So there's a logic problem here with the show, and it's always bothered me about this storyline. Like, I get that she has this mortality through line, this plot line, but it's just not resonating for me.
Right. I don't know. I mean, maybe later on we'll figure out why they only put it at that stage. I mean, obviously now Abby's like really struggling with the fact like, oh, it's just stage 0. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, it's not really affecting her. But everyone around her seems to be making a bigger deal of it than she is. You know what I mean?
That is true. I mean, Ray, in one of his very honest moments tonight, said, you know, I don't want you to die. And he almost swallowed that line. Did you notice that? Like, he's a Donovan, and he's not supposed to be emotional.
Right.
But
I think it's probably something that he really like struggles with, because the main women in his life all passed. You know, his sister, his mother. So Abby, of course, is like the only like main woman he still has. So why? I mean, of course, it's his wife anyway. So why would you want that? But
yeah. I agree with you, too. You make a great point about his history with women in his life and losing them. And you're right. This is probably his last true female confidant that he has. And it's gotten to a point where when the show started, he got involved with that blonde actress at the very beginning. And so we never quite saw them as a unit, as why they worked, how did they fall in love, what made Ray and Abby work, and I think we're starting to see that now. Two people who have been in different directions finally coming together through the chaos.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely becoming partners now more than ever, especially I think when Abby, you know, shot that guy, that kind of like solidified it. He's like, yeah, like, you know, that's my woman, like she has my back, and ever since then it's just like they've been vibing. I don't know.
Yeah, that's so true. And even after she shot him, he was kind of like, you shouldn't have done that or something like that. But it was so like half-hearted with, oh, you shouldn't have a gun or something like that. But
she saved his life. So like, what are you gonna do?
That's absolutely true. And I liked the scene last week while they were in the hotel room and Bridget was asking Abby about the whole situation. And I liked that Abby just looked at her and said, well, this is the way we're doing it.
Right. She was totally on board.
Yeah, I like that. So it's probably my favorite part about this episode is the growing closeness between them. And certainly there's a lot of pressure on Ray right now with this whole plot line where he's trying to get Savitsky off of his back, and he really can't find a way. He attempts to have the DA drop the charges, and then his source, who he bribes with the tapes from Ezra.
Could you believe that?
Yeah.
Why did you like? It seemed like I didn't understand it, because the guy, the DA, he seemed like he was on board. He was like, you know, like, I owe you everything. And like he was about to do it. And at the last second, Mr. What's his name?
It's
Mr.
Ronnie
Price.
Yeah.
He just, I couldn't believe that he just backed out. I was like, oh, he has this in the bag. Like, but of course, that's just way too easy. Why would that happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would have been too cute. And I like that Price decided that, you know what, I've been carrying this around for too long.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, you know, when you cover something up like that, it affects people in different ways. And we see with Price that he didn't want to ruin the career of, you know, this DA who he obviously cares about. They had a great connection. You could see that they had some sort of history there. The DA said, I owe my future to you. My future is you. And good for Price for, you know, not giving into it.
Being a stand-up guy,
I guess. Yeah,
being
a stand-up guy. And, hey, I murdered my wife.
Yeah, and I was like, whoa.
And by the way, I have not spent any time in jail. So a stand-up guy now, but has not been in the past.
Apparently not in the past.
But, you know, there were other things in Ezra's safe, too. It was some tapes. There was a lot of cash in there.
I thought Ray was like, because he was broke, I thought he was just going to pick up some cash. Like, you know what I mean? But I guess that's like the golden ticket to all their business, apparently, you know, all that blackmail.
Yeah, there was a lot in that safe, and I don't think that's the last time we're ever going to see that.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think we've opened up a little bit of a can of worms with what Ezra had in his house. And you know, the show, I think, certainly misses Ezra. I thought he was a great character to watch, obviously really well acted, and sort of gave Ray a fatherly figure, which he does not have in Mickey.
Yeah, of course.
Whatsoever. They both kind of came from a dark world, but were trying to do the best for themselves and their clients within it. Mickey, on the other hand, is always just about himself. And no matter what the consequences are for his family, his kids, or anybody that's associated with him. Though in this episode, I'm kind of excited about getting the Donovan boys together and going to get that $4 million.
No,
right?
Did you? I kind of felt like this was the direction it was going in, though, because Ray is getting desperate and he's asking a lot of questions about the horseshoe. So I was like, I think something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I can't believe, like, I feel so bad for Daryl. I feel like Mickey is always asking the most of him out of all the kids. Like, come on, just team up with me. Like, let's just do it. It's like sometimes I feel like just give it up. Like, this poor kid, you keep on pressuring him to get into all this trouble.
Yeah, and you can credit Pooch Hall for showing this in the scene, but I saw him thinking about the past experiences that we've seen in the show. Mickey letting him down and setting him up for a fight that he had no business being in. Just so many other situations where Daryl has been put. He's accepted a weaker position because he wanted to be a Donovan.
That's what I mean, and it's like he's been screwed over so many times.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here thinking, like, you better not do that. Like, don't do it. He's always like giving you, the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
So.
And I liked seeing Pooch hit the bag. It looked really real because he's a boxer.
Because he's a boxer now that we know that.
Yes, he actually is a boxer, and he won the Southeast New England gloves, I think, and he's obviously was hitting that bag pretty hard, so he was doing a great job out there tonight. He just adds to the realness of the whole environment out on the show, and we love him and hope that he comes back sometime soon. But back to the action, obviously. I want to save our predictions for how we think the recovery of the money is going to go.
Okay.
But, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. But at the same time, Ray tells Bunchy to go away and, go to bed. And he tells him twice. And still this very, fatherly figure to Bunchy.
I know.
And for me, I'm eventually getting to my point, which is I think Teresa is the most real person on this show. And she's telling, Bunchy, no, I don't want these people to be the godparents of my child.
Right.
If we die, I do not want them growing up in that house. And so I sort of sympathize with her, yeah, she's right.
Of course. Do you blame her? I wouldn't either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's great. And I think she really is our eyes, on screen as all this is going on.
Yeah, you could see it. You could read her face, totally. She's like, are you kidding me? Again, but I think that she's a big asset to Bunchy's character. I even took note, I feel like he's maturing ever since he's been with her and been with the baby. Of course, I don't know. I feel like his personality is much more adult-like, where he was so dependent before and couldn't really do anything on his own, but now he's trying to get involved and trying to really, step it up.
Yeah, he's one of the characters on the show, to further your point, that I have seen grown and,
for sure.
and gets, has matured and become a father, to where he's contrasted with Mickey, who seems to never grow up and always has the same problems over and over again and is hatching a new scheme and just coming up with a new robbery and follows the same pattern over and over again. So it is kind of a treat to see a character grow that way.
Right.
Mickey, he gets stuck in a car, and he has to give a sexual favor to be able to travel all the way to L.A. It's kind of funny. The Diane Ladd is a major guest star. I mean, just a big-time actor, and she played that woman in the car. And, it's just so funny that Mickey ends up in that situation. And I half expected him to get out of the car when it was the wide shot. But then he says...
she's not his type. We know what his type is. Exactly. So I was like, this poor guy, oh my God.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, well, she's his age. He should be into it.
Yeah, but...
Nope, she's not black.
We know Mickey, right?
Yeah,
he's not into it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, more power to him. I love it. But in the end, he says, let the good times roll. And... I was laughing during that scene.
Well, it's because what you gotta do, what you gotta do. You know him. He's always gotta get his way, so he'll find his way.
Yeah. She didn't want gas money. She wanted a favor instead.
Oh, was so bizarre.
It is really bizarre, but that's what keeps the show interesting.
Yeah,
I
so
think,
funny.
is those types of events. We do have the Godfather issue that I wanted to close the loop on, though, because Terry's super hurt by this. And I think for me, the way it read was that it's just another reminder for him that he does not have a wife, that he's single, and that he has the Parkinson's.
Right.
What did you feel for Terry in that scene?
I don't know.
Episode?
Again, like that whole entire scene, you could read exactly what everyone was feeling. Like, obviously, Teresa was so mad, and Terry was mad too. Like, of course, his feelings are hurt, and I mean, I don't know if he expected to become the Godfather, but I mean, do you blame him? Of course, his feelings are going to be a little bit hurt.
Yeah, and I think he's probably the better pick. I mean, if you want to raise, your own child, I wouldn't be putting them in Ray's hands. I'd be putting them in probably Terry's hands. Terry seems to certainly care about the family and seems to do the right thing. He could sometimes be led astray by Mickey, but Mickey's their father, and I think fathers always have a little bit of a pull over their sons. So I certainly felt for him in this episode, and it's really tough because he's single and he had that that whole story with Frances, and it didn't work out with her, and now he's by himself, and he needs to find something new, which is why he is working on this young guy played by Dominique, who we are trying to get to come into our show, to become sort of his new project. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Terry for the rest of the season. So anyway, we'll have to check him out and keep an eye on him there.
Yeah, I feel like something's coming his way.
Yeah, something good.
I think so. I don't know. He just seems so lost to me right now. So I'm rooting for him. Like, I hope that something big happens for him. So we'll see.
We'll wait and see. Hopefully he doesn't make out with Abby again. That was a really
we don't.
low
Abby's
point.
making out with enough people. We don't need anybody else.
That's
it's okay.
the thing. Like, she's feeling the doctor's boobs.
Don't you why was that necessary? Like, why did that happen? Why did they go to like a strip club?
At first I thought, that's the one thing. Like, girls' night out.
Yeah, like
girls' afternoon out.
I don't understand. But
Sunday
okay.
fun day at
Yeah, she's
the
like,
strip
Abby,
club.
do you want to do something? And it's like, what are they gonna do? And of all places, they go to a strip club.
Yeah, I thought the reason why the doctor wanted Abby to feel her breast was so that she could feel that, like, once you have a mastectomy, you can get implants and it's normal. But that was never touched on at all. Well, bad pun right there, actually.
I see what you did
really
there.
Bad pun. Pun intended. So that's what I thought that was all about. But then they kind of get to making out a little bit. It was just kind of a bizarre scene.
I know. I still don't understand why they had to make out. I don't get it, but okay.
Yeah, and then Lena's off to the side drinking and doesn't even notice this somewhere. So
that was Lena's ex, yeah?
Yes.
The doctor? Okay.
Yeah, so they used to be together, and then Lena guilt-tripped her into coming and talking to Abby. Apparently, she guilt-tripped her into doing more than just talking.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so, I mean, Abby is just... I think it's a little bit unfair, to be honest with you. Deborah Malcolmson does a great job with the role. She's really a great actor, and we've seen her in a lot of other projects. There's so much being thrown at this character that sometimes just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, I know, but she does it.
She does it, and she does a great job, and that's totally true. Switching back to Ray now, and before we move on, I want to remind everyone, thank you so much for tuning in, and please use the hashtag ABTV Ray Donovan. We were able to use one of the listener questions last week for Pooch Hall's interview. So if you're listening now, or if you want to react to our show later, please use that hashtag ABTV Ray Donovan online. Be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube. Give us a thumbs up if you like our show, and be sure to comment underneath us in the YouTube box. We read your comments every week, and we'll start featuring them on the air starting next week. Finally, we have Ed Cochran back in the game. Hank Azaria is now back a part of the show, which I'm happy about. I really liked him and his character. Him and Ray have a great, love-hate relationship, I think. Ever since the wife swap happened and the tape came out with Ed we haven't seen much of him, and we find him at Boardwalk 11, which is actually a bar in Culver City. I've been there before.
Real?
Oh,
really?
absolutely, yeah.
That is so funny. So did you sing karaoke?
I did sing karaoke when I was there.
No way.
Yes, I did.
That's awesome.
It's funny. I used to live in Culver City, and that would be the place that we would go to on Thursday nights. So it is a real karaoke bar, and where they had Liev Schreiber singing is the actual stage, and there's monitors to look out from. So it was kind of cool to see, a bar that you've been to before on there. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh my gosh, I never have done karaoke before. I'm too chicken. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I'm not as good of a singer as Ray, I can't pull it off.
That's the thing, though. Everybody's bad. That's the fun of it.
Yeah. Maybe one day. I'm not writing it off yet, we'll see.
At a friend's birthday party or something, you will sing.
Yeah, you just got to
song.
catch me at the right time.
Yeah. Beastie Boys, Paul Revere. Okay.
Oh, that's
a good
the go-to?
song. That's a good song. What do I sing all the time? Oh, I sing Proud to Be an American. It's always a good
Classic.
one. It's a crowd pleaser. Or, oh gosh, it's going up in my head right now. Thank You for Being a Friend is a good one for a bar. So you guys out there can let us know what you sing.
Golden Girls theme?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know
I've
that
done
song.
Before. I've absolutely done that before in a bar.
Oh, God.
You get some weird people who get excited about that. So, anyway, back to Ed Cochran and his whole storyline. What do you think about him? What did you enjoy seeing him come back?
As I was telling you before, I didn't even recognize who he was. I really didn't. But I'm surprised he's back. So So is he going to help Ray?
That's what we're thinking that he's going to do. Now, a couple steps need to happen before we get back to Cochran and helping out Ray. First of all, Ray has to deliver $2 million to him. And I think, just in my initial impression of the scene, was that Cochran has a file on a really well-known celebrity with a lot of dirt, and that Ray would be able to successfully use that file to make the DA let out. I'm forgetting the Russian's name right now.
Belikov.
Belikov, yeah. So to get Belikov out. So I think it's potentially a really good plan. Now they got to go get the money to make it happen.
There's so many things that have to happen before, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for now we get the horseshoe issue. So I'm assuming that's why he needs the money. And then he gets it to him, and they pull off this whole celebrity DA situation, and then we can move on to the Belikov. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, there's a lot to make happen before Ray is out of this, and I think it's going to occupy the rest of the season. It's funny, we sit here, this is episode 4, and we're a third of the way through this season already. But I think now we have all the pieces in place, and over the last eight episodes, we're going to see this all play out together. It's kind of perfectly positioned now, because now this is a season that can stand on its own. We know what we have to accomplish here as Donna fans, and what we're rooting for, to see these people come to pass. One thing that the show really didn't address a whole lot this episode was Hector and Marisol.
Oh, I know.
Did you miss it at all?
It was such a small piece to this whole entire story, but obviously if they're still including it, it's going to become relevant eventually. So
it's a nice episode. It starts with them having sex, of course, and that's how it starts. Okay, so they're back together.
Yeah, I'm so mad.
Yeah.
Are you? I'm
I hate it.
What are you doing? Smarten up.
Yeah, totally needs to smarten up and let her go. She clearly seems to be a bad influence on Hector.
Of course.
I tend to be Team Hector about all this because I think he's got a lot of potential and seems to has some good underneath, and she just seems to be leeching.
Yeah, she's
on him.
poison for real. And the fact that she even had the audacity to be like, he was much better with me before you. It's like, was he though? Probably not, but you can think that.
Yeah, apparently she does nothing but send him into tailspins. And it wasn't really clear to me tonight what had happened. I thought he had overdosed, and there wasn't really a way for... I didn't think he was breathing.
Yeah, but he pulls out of it so quickly, so...
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what Ray did. Ray's this magical paramedic, apparently.
Honestly, he's always saving somebody, but okay.
Yeah, so... Hector and Marisol, I hope that the show just doesn't walk away from them, because it actually is really interesting. But if you look at how much time is being spent with these characters over the past 4 episodes, it has only declined as the season has gone on. The first 2 episodes were very much about Hector and Ray and how they met in Ray's boxing match. Hector's boxing match, and Ray having to take care of Marisol, make sure she doesn't do an interview that would damage him. And now today we got 2 scenes with them.
Right.
One, they're having sex. The other, where Hector had overdosed, and now Ray is there and just fixing the day and then leaving.
Right. So that's why I have a feeling that they're going to become relevant somehow. If they had such a big storyline in the beginning, although we're kind of moving away from them, they were included in here for a reason. So we'll have to see what happens with that.
We will. And, somebody else I missed Bridget this episode, and I really wanted to talk.
None of the kids were in it.
None of the kids were in it. I mean, I think it's okay if Connor's not. I'm not a big Connor fan. I'm gonna just tell you. I don't think the character is adding a whole lot to anything. He's just like big dumb Connor.
Right.
Last episode, he thought a gunshot was a movie.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just. I mean, we're watching his character kind of grow too. Not necessarily mature, but definitely grow from where he started from. So
yeah, I mean, it's just constant swearing and like, ooh, F this, F that.
Just being a teenager, I guess, but
yeah. But there's not a whole lot redeeming about him. I'm sorry to say. But
I don't know. Maybe he'll turn into a nice guy.
I hope so. I hope so. I'm not terribly confident about all that. I'll save my prediction on Mr. Connor for later. But Bridget, I find far more interesting, and it may just be because I like Karis Dorsey a whole lot, and I remember her in Moneyball and singing Lenka songs, covering Lenka songs, and she's so good. But I was really mad last week to see the teacher.
Her character is making me so upset, but then again, like, she of course is, I mean, I'm gonna say she's just being a teenager, but I don't think that having sex with your teacher is being just being a teenager. But the way she's giving Abby such a hard time, and I don't know, I mean, I'm mad that she is giving her such a hard time, but it's like that's kind of just a typical teenage girl thing to do. So
well, here's my question, okay? The parents don't want her around this guy. Why didn't they tell them, you stay away from my daughter or we're going to the police, you predator, teacher, like,
right,
rapist? I mean, I mean, he's, what they would be charged for, is, I don't know the exact term for it, but when a child molester, because he's a teacher, he's a person of power.
Right, yeah.
And so why isn't he in jail or totally banished from their life?
Well, I think, of course, we see that they try to stay away from anything anything police involved, but right. I have a funny feeling it seems like Bridget rather is kind of not on their team right now, right. And I don't want to say it, but I feel like if they push it, she'll of course back off from them, run away, whatever, but she knows a lot about what's going on, especially now that Abby told her everything, so it wouldn't be in their best benefit to mess with that right now.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, Bridget threw it in Abby's face, did a fake Boston accent, and talked about the teacher's wiener.
That was so gross.
It was so gross.
I was like, stop.
But, I mean, what is she doing banging the guy in front of their house? That was a real...
I think she's just crying out for something right now. Yeah. Whether she needs attention, I don't know what she needs, but girlfriend needs to chill out.
Exactly right. And I thought it was really weak when teacher came out and was like, I really love your daughter.
I can't stand... Didn't that make you mad?
It was so bad.
Like, just shut up. Like, how could you ever... I don't even know.
Bridget, where are you going? Why are you going with your family?
Yeah, and did you think that Ray was going to be like, oh, you really love her?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now it's all right. Like, see you later. Go, like, oh my God. Made me so angry.
Oh, you really got me with that one. That was really funny. Yeah, you're right. Like, what was he thinking?
Yeah, like, now it makes it better. You love her? Oh, thank God.
Oh, okay. Oh, really?
Like, now it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, Yeah, we've got some pretty messed up stories happening here.
Oh my gosh.
With the Donovan family. I will tell you though, I'm happy to see more of Lena and more of Avi. Two of the most interesting characters, I think. More Lena. I don't think you can have enough Lena in these episodes.
Oh no, she's super cool. I love everything she's about, and she's very loyal. You know, despite everything, she never left Ray's side. So
yeah. And she got another job offer, which was a really cool, plot line from last season or the season before. And she is really valuable, and can make a lot of things happen, but also cares about the family more than just as a professional.
Oh, for sure.
She goes above and beyond, to make sure that the Donovan family is safe, and I like that. I like that you can see her heart while she's going through and doing these actions, these fixing actions, which aren't always altogether legal. But she is one of my favorite characters, and I really hope we get to see a lot more of her going forward. I would trade off Connor for her every day. Connor, maybe a little less Abby, and a little more Lena. Yeah, absolutely. I'm adjusting the dials and telling the creatives what to do. No, I'm kidding. I mean, I think the show is really well produced, and the actors on the show are really, really good. The Emmy nominations came out. Ray Donovan got a ton of Emmy nominations. Of course, Liev got nominated. Jon Voight got nominated. And have all done a really good job on the show, and I think that's what keeps the show going, is just the quality of the acting. What else about tonight's episode that you noticed that we haven't covered so far?
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I mean, it's just, I think that we covered all the storylines. We got Marisol and Hector, Terry's relationship with Damon, the boxer. He's trying to pursue him, so I think that's something that's gonna grow within the episode. Now we just gotta figure out what's happening with Sonya and Ray.
And that's a big that's like the super spine of this season will be, can Ray get this done, or is he ultimately going to turn himself in for killing the Manassians? I can remember from past seasons where Ray was about the point of throwing it all in and just going to jail.
Oh, for sure.
And this may be the season where that actually happens.
Well, he brought up a valid point. He was kind of like, well, if you kill me, what value am I to you? You know, Belikoff's stuck in jail and you got nothing done. And I was kind of like, you're right. Like, that's true. She can't kill you, because then everything will turn to, it'll go the wrong way. So
yeah, there's a lot to see coming forward, and I think we've held off long enough, so we need to move into the final segment of the show, which, as always, by tradition, is our predictions for what's to come for the next week and for the rest of the season so far. So why don't you go ahead and give us your predictions for the next episode and what you think for the rest of the way.
Okay, so obviously we got to get the little lights and music going on.
AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Okay, so a big prediction I have, of course, I don't even know if it's a prediction, it's pretty obvious, but Mickey and Ray teaming up.
Okay.
So we got that going on. They're going to go after the horseshoe.
Okay, are they going to be successful getting the money?
I mean, obviously something's going to happen that makes it more difficult, but I think that they can pull it off.
Okay.
But I don't know, everything that Mickey does always turns out to be a huge problem. So, but Ray always pulls everything off, so it's kind of like, which direction is it going to go in?
And you're right, and at the end of this episode, Mickey says sometimes you have to believe in God, because Ray joins him on his cockamamie plan. And when you're right, when Ray comes aboard on a Mickey plan, it generally tends to work out because Ray's so good at getting these types of things done. So I do agree with you. I think they will get the money back. I don't think you bring back Hank Azaria, Ed Cochran, if you're not intending to use him later in the season.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Any other predictions? Give me an Abby prediction. Where do you think she's going?
Prediction? I don't know. Do you think that she's going to get the treatment?
See, part of me hopes that we get a second opinion from a different doctor who says everything that I've just told you. That, you know what, stage 0 is not that bad. You don't need to have a mastectomy. You're going to be okay.
Right.
And, go see a different doctor. I kind of feel like she has bad doctors right now if they're not telling her this. And if you're going to focus so much, and they say it over and over again, they say stage 0, stage 0, stage 0 all the time in every episode so far. If you're going to say that, you got to know that your audience can go look up stage 0 and figure out what it is pretty quickly. So I have to believe, and I'm going to predict this until I'm proven wrong otherwise, that someone's going to tell her that, you know what, it's not that big of a deal and you're going to be okay.
Well, that's the big plot line for her character right now. So it could go either way. I mean, if the cancer thing disappears, it's like, what's in store for Abby at this point?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So we're going to see what happens with Abby. I will make a prediction. I think a big character is going to die this season. And if I really have to guess, I'm going to bet that it's going to be either Marisol or Hector. I think one of the two is going to die, and we've seen so far, even in the first episode, they have a really violent, tumultuous relationship where they're fighting, but then they're hooking back up again, and then they're fighting again, and it keeps going back and forth, and I don't think that's going to end well. I don't think that's going to smooth out. I think it's going to end with one of the characters being dead, either through intentional or, accidental action. Where they either take too much drugs or they were fighting or something else. But I really think that's something big that's coming our way.
Yeah, something's definitely in store for those two. Like I said, they're sticking around for a reason. So I don't know what that reason is, but we're definitely going to find out.
It's going to be fun.
I have no idea. At this point, so many things are happening that it's like, I just keep on getting surprised, so...
Well, we hope we keep getting surprised the
right,
rest of the season.
Course.
And you guys can let us know what your predictions are for the rest of the season. Reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram and use that hashtag ABTV Ray Donovan. We'll read your comments and we'll read them off on the air next week. But for now, that's going to be it. That's all for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Until then, we'll be back next week, same time. Until then, we have been...
Oh, no, an hour earlier next week.
Oh, I'm sorry, an hour earlier next week. That's right. We're moving up earlier, 10 p.m. Pacific on Mondays. Thank you for reminding me.
Yes.
Olivia Gabaree. Where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @thereal_O_G.
And I'm Frank Maiorana. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frankham. Thank you so much for listening. We love you guys. We'll see you next week. Go out and be blessed. We'll see you back soon.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.